it's about to. It just takes a moment to prepare the stream. Okay.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Philip Wicks, and I'm the chair for this meeting. So I welcome you all to the June 2020 meeting of the Planning and Community Committee of Woodley Town Council. The Town Council is consulted by Wokingham Borough Council on planning applications within Woodley, but the final decision if approved or refused is taken by Wokingham Borough Council. We will notify Wokingham Borough Council of the committee's views, which may include any comments and concerns expressed by members of the community affected by the application. If anyone here has any comments to make on any of the planning applications, then you need to formally write or send an email to the Wokingham Borough Council Planning Department, as they will take the final decision on the application. This is only the second meeting of this committee to take place under a video conferencing platform, and consequently I apologise in advance for any glitches or delays we may incur in running this meeting. As a reminder for all committee members, please use gallery view, or it may not be possible to note when you need to speak. The meeting shall be held in accordance with the Woodley Town Council virtual meetings protocol. For members of the public attending and wishing to comment, your microphones will be off and will be controlled by the chair. If you wish to discuss a particular planning application or other matter, raise your hand to ensure you can be seen, and the chair will turn on your microphone and enable you to speak at a suitable time. This is to prevent too many attendees talking at once and to allow us to manage the meeting more effectively. Thank you for your cooperation in advance. The first thing I'd like to do is to do a bit of housekeeping. So Linda, have we any apologies, please?
Yes, we've had apologies from councillors Baker, Cheng, Forer, Ramooney, Skegg and McNaught.
Okay, thank you. And do we have any declarations of interest?
Yep.
No?
No.
Okay, good. The minutes of the Planning Committee meeting held on the 19th of May 2020. Can we take those meetings as approved, or are there any queries or questions that need to be raised?
That all look good to me.
Okay, so can we take those as being accepted? And I'll sign them off when I'm able to, when the town council offices are open. Okay, so the next item will be to look at the current planning applications. So the first one I have is 200482 96 Kingfisher Drive, which is a part single story, two-story front, single story side and rear extension. I've looked at that. I didn't consider it needed too much of a discussion, but does anybody want to talk about it, or can we take that as being approved?
No, I looked at it. I couldn't find any problems with it at all.
Okay, fine. The next one is 201055, which is 14 Church Road, which is a subdivision of a plot and the erection of a new two-bedroom, I think it's a bungalow, isn't it? And this is sort of opposite the Bull and Checkers on a bend from what I can see. So what do we want to look at that one?
The point I would raise on that one, Philip, is the new access for that bungalow is right on the bend.
It is.
And I just wonder whether they will be able to see any traffic going in or out from Woodley Green into, is it Sherborne?
I think
Drive?
it is. I think it's Sherborne, yes.
Do
you want me to pull it up?
Yes, could you?
Can I take the screen? Can you see that?
No.
No.
Right.
Can I just say I'd agree with David and what you said about the parking. I also couldn't see the parking shown on the plan. I don't think we probably need to see the plan, do we, if we're all agreed?
Yeah. Well, the parking, Carol, is on the 3 car parking space in front of the main building.
Oh, right.
One of those is to be allocated to the bungalow.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yes, there's only one parking space for the bungalow from what I could see.
If there isn't enough room on the site, then it's not good enough, is it really?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I seem to have lost everything apart from the person who's talking. So
Could we recommend refusal then to WBC on the grounds of the dangerous access onto a bend and the lack of integral parking?
I'm
not
happy.
so, I'm not so certain that I would refuse it, Carol. But I do think something should be done about the access. And if the access is going to be there, then surely the allocated parking spot should be within the grounds of the bungalow.
Exactly. If we don't refuse it, they'll just get what's there. We need to refuse it for them to come back with an amendment.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Could say we have concerns if you would prefer that.
I would have had great concerns about the allocated parking spot being adjacent to the existing building. And the other concern, of course, is the access into the bungalow being right on the corner.
I think we're almost looking at a refusal, aren't we, on those grounds, really? And get someone to go back and have another look, and then come back with something which is more acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay, recommend refusal then on those 2 grounds.
Does anybody object to that?
That's Church Road, yeah.
That's the one at Church Road, yeah. It's the one right on the corner opposite the Bull and Checkers. Okay, right. So you're okay with that, Linda?
Yep.
Okay. So the next one I've got is 9 Malvern Close, which is 201150.
Yep.
And that just squares the back of the house off and moves the front forward by, I've got it 1.3 meters. I didn't consider that to be an issue, but
Yeah. Again, the one thing I wanted a little bit of clarification on, if you look on the proposed plans, the porch that is going to be built at the front of the property extends over the current garage entrance.
right.
Now, are they re-putting in the entrance to the garage at the front, or are they blocking off the garage completely? Because there look to be 2 walls on that plan.
Okay, I didn't see that.
I didn't see that, no.
I thought that they moved the front of the garage forward to line up with the
Well,
house.
Yeah, that I wasn't be surprised if that's what the intention is, but to me there look to be 2 distinct walls, one being the existing garage frontage, and then another one in front of it on the extension of the porch. You see what I mean?
I haven't got the plans in front of me at the moment.
Yeah, if I could, I tried to share the screen a moment ago and it didn't work, so I'm not sure how to share this screen.
I'm just going to try and get the plan up myself.
I've got the plan in front of me if someone can, because it says share, and when I share it doesn't appear to. Can you see that? No?
No.
No,
No.
you can't see. No, no, I'm not. So there is, so the extension does protrude from the garage door by about 1.35 meters, I think it was. And it still gives some space inside the garage and also 2 parking spaces on the front.
Don't think there's any problem.
But the, is that right? Have I got that right?
It's proposed. Yeah, on the proposal, on the left-hand drawing, you got what is clearly a porch.
Yes, and
Then
the
you've got
garage,
the extension, which presumably would be a new garage door.
Yeah.
yes.
But if you go immediately behind that, there's a line drawn right across.
So yeah, I mean the garage is coming forward just beyond, sorry, just behind the extension to the porch, isn't it?
Yeah. But what's that line doing?
What, the dotted line?
Well, there is no dotted line on the plan I'm looking at.
Oh, okay. I'm
if-
just assuming that was the previous line, the previous build line.
That's
Yeah, but this is the proposed.
Yes, that's what I'm looking at.
That's-
I think
if you look on the
dotted
previous, on the existing, yes, you got the one line across.
Yes. Yes, I just think that's to show where the existing is,
yeah.
and to show that it's all moving forward, so you get a uniformity at the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
Huh.
just shows removed line.
Yeah. I mean, most plans wouldn't have that line in.
No, I accept that. Well, do we need to make a comment on that dotted line that goes across? I don't.
No, I don't think so.
No,
No. So I think we're happy with that
I
one.
mean, if everyone's happy with it, you know,
Yeah.
I'm prepared to accept it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one I've got is 201173 119 Western Avenue.
That looked okay.
And that looked all right to me. I made a
Yeah.
note that it was squaring off at the rear with a small front extension and a large house that backs onto the railway. So I don't think anybody behind them is going to worry too much about what it
Yeah.
looks like.
It's be so much better as well with the front dormers put into a pitched roof.
Yes.
Makes
Yes, I
a big-
agree. So we're happy with that one, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problems with that.
Okay. So the next one is 20 Wingate, which is 201200.
I remember that.
Um,
Oh, it was that. Cool.
and this is a part single story, part 2-story front side rear extension, including the garage conversion. But we have had a neighbour's letter on this one, which is why I
Yeah.
pulled it out. Because they're pulling the side garage into the house and there was concern about the amount of parking. And there was a neighbour's letter. But when you look at the plans, it shows parking space on the front of 3.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they're going to have to remove the little grass area they've got at the front and take the fence down, I'm assuming, to actually make it 3. I can imagine there may then be a requirement for a drop curb, or they'll just be driving up the pavement.
It's a very large extension.
It
But
is.
still only 4 bedrooms.
Hmm.
Dictate the number of cars, but I didn't have a problem with it. But I think we should support the neighbours' concerns about the parking.
That's the only thing I would do. Hmm.
You know, Julia Clements, the neighbour, actually said that she wants something said that the new hard standing area is used for parking.
Yes, that's right. That's what the letter
Right,
said, wasn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
And I would certainly agree with her comments there.
Yes. Yes, I don't have a problem with that. So we're happy subject to that, are we?
Yes.
Okay. That's
Are we going to say concerns about the lack of parking provision and would like to see the new hard standing used for parking?
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, we don't want to be too heavy, but I think we just need to make a comment that we assume that the front hard standard will be used for car parking.
Okay.
Then I've got 201-202, which is 18 Coppice Road. This was the erection of a single-storey front, side and rear. And I worked out there seemed to be an additional bedroom on the ground floor, but only 2 parking spaces on a 4-bed house by converting the garage. So my only concern there really was the parking.
I thought it was interesting that they showed one large car and one smaller car. Although the area seemed to be okay, but I think it would be good to ensure there is sufficient parking. But the other comment I had is I think if it's given conditional approval, there ought to be a condition on it for that that area, the bedroom and what's virtually a kitchen and lounge should be ancillary to the domestic use of the property, because they show some sort of patio doors or some sort of doors at the front which could easily be changed into a front door and make a separate dwelling.
Right.
It's important to tie that up if we can.
Okay. Okay, so anybody else got anything to say on that?
No.
Okay, so we got 2 concerns. Perhaps one is that there's only 2 parking spaces for a 4-bed house. And 2, we just need to make sure that the house does not forward to the risk of multiple occupation, I suppose.
It should be a condition that the extra bedroom, lounge and kitchen must be, the use of that area must be ancillary to the main dwelling.
Yes, I mean, it could well be a granny flat or something, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, so next one I've got is 66 Mannock Way, which is 201-216. This is a single-storey front extension, enlarging 2 first-floor bedrooms and producing a squared-off roof line and a very small front extension, which I didn't have any issues with, but
I didn't have that.
My only comment was the garage. They've split the garage into a garage and a store. And there is no way it could fit anything into that garage because they've halved the original garage to produce a store. And I wonder why they've labelled it as garage at all, but it's not a reason to change anything on there, but just a comment.
yeah, well, I think most people's garages are storerooms, aren't they?
Yeah.
My carving.
Okay, so we've got no issues as long as the car parking is taken into account. Is that what we're saying?
Well, what I'm saying is the garage cannot be labelled a garage if it doesn't contain a car.
Okay, so we just question the size of the garage.
Yeah.
They've probably got a smart car or something.
Yeah.
Okay, 201-285 is 14 Wallace Close. This is conversion of a garage plus changes to the fenestration. My comments were there were 3 parking spaces. It's a change of the front garden to car parking. And it's hard to see how 3 cars could fit easily. And I think there was a hedge along the side, and I could see that the hedge may not be there much longer, assuming it's on their property.
I would support those comments too, yeah.
So I couldn't tell.
Sorry, Philip, can you repeat them again? Concerned that the
well, to enable there to be 3 cars parked at the front of the extended property, it looked to me as if the hedge that runs alongside will have to be removed, and I'm not sure whose hedge it is.
Okay.
So I've got no problems about the extension unless anybody else has. It's just my concern that that the car parking is going to move that hedge away, and if it's not their hedge, then that's not the right thing to do.
Okay.
Okay, and then the last one I think I've got is 9 Lunds Farm Road, which is 201-304. And I said this is just a large extension. It's got 5 bedrooms, 3 parking spaces, and part of the new works is a playroom. So it's got a single-story front extension, two-story side extension, single-story rear, 4 roof lights, and the existing garage is being removed.
I was concerned about the 2-story extension and its
Right.
impact on the neighbours, because the neighbours are set back. So number 9 is well forward, so it would have a greater impact on its neighbour with that 2-story. Otherwise, it seemed okay. I mean, if there's habitable rooms in the neighbour on that side, then they're going to lose light. It was interesting to see the playroom was cut off from the rest of the house, but maybe that was intentional. So I don't have any objection as long as it's maybe subject to neighbours' comments in case there are neighbours that the neighbour is concerned about losing light on that side. Oh, sharing it.
Shade
Oh,
of,
Oh,
I found that. Sorry, I think what it is when I open another document, I've noticed it sort of takes over the whole screen, and I can't actually see any of the controls on Zoom when I do that. And I think that's what the problem's been. That's why I haven't been able to share a screen before. So these are some of the plans.
Yes, it was the location plan, I think.
The location plan, I think that's towards the front, isn't it? So there's the location plan.
It doesn't look like.
It didn't look too bad because it seems to be well away from the neighbours, doesn't it?
yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, the 2-story extension just is exactly that, an extension
Yeah.
of the house and stays inside the existing building line.
Yeah.
But it just extends it over what was a fairly wide driveway.
That's right. So I was quite happy, but I mean, is everybody else happy?
That's fine. I didn't have any
Yeah.
objections. I just had concerns that we ought to support neighbours if they made a comment.
No,
Well, we can always say we got no objection, providing any neighbours' comments are taken into account.
Subject to neighbours' comments, yeah.
Okay. I think that's the last one, isn't it?
yeah, she's on my list anyway.
That's right.
So the next item then is planning decisions. I don't know if you want to go through each one, but or can we just take them as being read? It would appear that the only one that they didn't agree with us on was when we were talking about raising the height of those 2 new buildings on the corner, if you recall. We were a bit concerned that they were putting the height of the roof level up when part of the planning had already said they can't. And I think that was the only area where we had an issue. So can we take those as being read?
yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Item 6 is planning appeals. It's just really a note that there's been an appeal on Edgefield at Western Avenue. This is to do with the mixed use of a residential swimming pool. And I know about that one. And also an appeal against the enforcement notice for the same address. So I'm assuming that will be dealt with by Wokingham anyway. So it's just a question of noting that. Item 7, tree preservation orders. There's been some applications there for some proposals to do some work on some trees. Are we happy to accept those as being read?
I've got item 7 as being.
Item 7, the applications for work to trees.
Oh, I've got 7 as neighbour consultation scheme.
No, I think you're looking at the minutes of the last meeting, Carol.
Oh, right, okay. Wake up, Carol.
I think you've got to
I need to go down a
scroll
bit.
through a bit further.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry, folks, yeah.
That's all right, don't worry. No.
I'll try and do better.
Here it is.
Okay, so that's number 7. There was also a comment there about trees on the southeast boundary of 7 Lennox Close, where a TPO has just been implemented by Wokingham. So item 8 is budgetary control, and really to note the report PC4/20, which is on page 17 of your pack.
Noted.
Yeah.
You happy with that? We can just note that. Okay. Item 9, cycling in Woodley Working Party. Carol.
Yes. Two things really. First of all, with the increased use of bikes at the moment, for obvious reasons, I'm very keen that we should keep that going in a way of sort of encouraging it. So when everything does start to get back to nearer normal, that people are still keen to use their bikes, or there's a reason why they should use it. And I think the what we could use to encourage people to use bikes is much better signage, so people know where the cycle routes are, and also something that happens on the Wokingham Borough website for their cycling in Wokingham. They have a number of cycle routes, and they have a number of suggested cycle routes that other people have uploaded. Needless to say, Woodley hasn't got anything on Wokingham Borough's site to do with that. So that was one thing. And the second thing was that I've had a look at the walking and cycling infrastructure plan under the Reading Transport Strategy. And that's got a few interesting schemes in there that impact Woodley. And so it's those two items I think means that it would be very useful to have another working group meeting where we could come up with some ideas for encouraging sustainable cycling, so keeping people biking, and also to make some comments on the Reading Transport Strategy recycling.
So it sounds as if it'd be a good idea to join together those two items for the moment, item 10 and item 11 on the agenda.
Yes.
And to come back perhaps next month with some more ideas about what you think we should be doing.
Assuming we can get a working group set up in that time, yeah.
Yes, okay. Can I leave it to you to have a look and see what you can do?
No problem.
Okay, all right. We're happy with that, Linda?
Yep, yes,
Yep,
that's
that's
fine.
fine. Okay. Okay, if we move on then to item 12, it's the local green space designations. Thank you, Carol, for producing that sheet for
Sorry,
us.
so can I, oh, sorry.
So could I just say number 11 is about the transport strategy
Yes.
that includes the LCWIP.
That's right.
So that still needs to be looked at by planning. It's only the
Yes.
cycling bit that will be looked at by the cycling working group.
Yes, it's just there seem to be some links between the two.
Yes.
So I thought if you came back next month, we'd defer number 11 till next month and we'd look at them both.
If I can say, I think it might only be the cycling and walking infrastructure plan that impacts on Woodley that we don't normally, well, I suppose we might, but we don't always comment on consultations from Reading Borough Council unless they impact on Woodley. So I don't know whether the rest of the consultation would have an impact on Woodley, but I think we were, it was pointed out that the walking and cycling did have an impact on Woodley.
Okay.
So that's why we would need to comment on that.
I just think that if someone's going to be looking at that, they'll probably notice all the other transport infrastructure anyway, because obviously roads are going to affect the cycles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll note that we'll defer that until the next meeting. Yeah.
Well, item 12 is the local green space designations. I don't know whether you've got in front of you Carol's spreadsheet, I suppose, for want of a better word, where it lists, I think, the various areas that have been highlighted by everybody, and some comments by the way of sort of tick lists and things as to what we need to consider when we're actually looking at each of one of those areas. So I don't know whether you think we ought to go through each one in turn.
It's circulated to everybody and I got some replies which were really helpful.
Yep.
And I made some changes to reflect those replies. I think it's a case of it's probably, if everybody's they've obviously looked at it and happy with it, we could take the whole thing. But I'm quite happy to add to that if anybody comes up with something post-meeting.
The only thing I added was the Aldermars Nature Reserve. I think there's some old woodland in there, isn't there?
Oh, right, okay.
So would that be historic significance, I guess? Because I seem to remember
Yeah.
when there were some applications in to do something with that old pumping station.
Yeah.
It was deemed to be sort of ancient woodland.
Okay.
Um,
I'm putting a tick in there as we speak.
okay. There was already a tick. Was there a tick in Ashenbury under Tranquility and Wildlife?
Yeah.
Oh, there was. Okay.
Yeah.
And also historic significance as well.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
Yes.
Philip.
I think there's a number on that list that I would certainly go ahead with straight off without discussion. And that would be South Lake Park, Aldermore's Nature Reserve, Ashenbury Park, Dinton Pastures, Sanford Park between Hurricane Way and Mohawk. I think that is essential for the airfield residents. Woodford Park and Coronation Fields and Bullmarsh Fields. Those, I think, are definite candidates on just about every ground.
Yes.
Some that you put in, Carol, I must admit, I'm not completely aware of. So I'm not too sure of the locality. But Redwood Play Area, certainly, I mean, that is a hive of activity for all of Redwood Avenue and the various roads around it. So there could be good argument for stressing that. Malone Park also for South Lake, I think we should put on the list for listing. But I'll let everyone else talk about Mortimer's Meadow, South Lake Crescent, Herne Road. And I'm not sure where you mean, Carol, about the area between Mohawk Way and the old closed off Coleman's Moor Road.
Joan, if I could explain. If you go down into the car park off Mohawk Way by the Aircraft Museum,
Yeah.
before you get to the museum, you turn left to that old stopped off road. And that's a road that takes you right the way through to Sanford Mill. But because there's only 4 houses along there, it's not well used as a road. And between the road and Mohawk Way, there is a big tranche of woodland, marshy bits, vegetation, etc. And that's where the old pillbox is. So it's that area there. And it's quite sizable.
Okay, so do we know if it's ancient woodland or what?
Been here a long time.
Sorry, Martin wanted to say something then.
Well, Martin's been around for a long time as well, but yeah.
Martin?
Can I just chime up? Again, this is Martin being the newbie and the ignorant soul, but I don't really understand the purpose of this thing. I have a real concern because I went out walking this evening and there are lots of green spaces all over the ruddy place, none of which we've mentioned here. And what is the what could be the outcome of us missing lots of green spaces that we would like retained in Woodley as green spaces, but we haven't included them in this list that we're producing? Does anyone understand what the consequence of not adding these areas would be? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain areas such as Malone Park, Martin, which is not very large. And I can see reasons for that not being included, but it is one we manage effectively. For that reason, I would certainly put Malone Park down. But if you go down Rivermead, for example, there's an old play area there, which I wouldn't necessarily say should be listed as green open space.
Then what will it be if we don't list it as green open space?
Well,
What
obviously,
is its future?
its future at the moment is used by the local children in Rivermead. It did become very derelict, and you had to replace all the fencing, didn't you, Kevin? If my memory serves me correct.
Yes, that's right.
And there's an old football goal down there because the kids used to play football on. But that's really like what I would say an old-fashioned street green. You go back to, just after the war, every major road would have a big green area for the children to play on.
I can't remember that.
You're lucky. But, those sort of places, which is what I would include Rivermead as, I don't think would be appropriate for listing as local green space.
But what will happen to it if we don't list it as local green space?
Potentially, someone will come along and try and develop it. Now, Rivermead space, I believe, is owned by us. Is it? Am I right, Linda, Kevin? The Rivermead space is owned by ourselves.
Yeah.
So we would have some say. Well, we would have to decide to sell the land for that to be developed. As far as the other small spaces that are around, I don't know. They may have been put in by the developers just to provide a little bit of green park space for children. There could be a covenant over those. Some might actually be owned jointly by residents in the local park. Certainly those green spaces anywhere near a private road are almost certainly owned jointly by the individual householders.
Right, I think Carol wants to come in. Carol?
Okay. We were asked to, as part of the consultation of Woking Borough on their local area plan, we were asked to identify spaces that match the criteria, which were the ones that I put in an email, and now they're on the top column over this sort of x-axis, if you like, at the top. So any space that meets those criteria, and Martin, if there are any spaces you found that meet as many of those as possible, if it's only going to hit one, then it's probably not a goer. But I think we should include, it's entirely up to Woking Borough what they do with that list then. We don't have any sort of control over that. The control we have is over the spaces that we own. Rivermead isn't the prettiest of play areas, but we own that, and it's unlikely that anything would happen to it while it's in our ownership. And it's a space that we don't want filled with houses. So I think it's not naturally a green space. It could be green, but I think it's important that we just look at spaces and look at the criteria, and where it fulfills that criteria, we put it on the list.
Martin?
Again, I want to raise my concern, and I feel this quite strongly, that how long have we had to produce this list? We've got a deadline of Thursday, is my understanding. When did we know that we had to produce it?
I circulated it to the committee as soon as we received it.
Yeah, but
It was
I'm
a
not
few
being
weeks
critical.
before.
I'm just saying, how long have they given us?
Well, we hadn't had it for the last meeting, since the last meeting. But
Right, so it's
can't
less than a
remember the
month.
date.
It's over a month.
You see, I'm something like this. I feel quite strongly that the public ought to be consulted. There are lots of green spaces, none of which are on this list at the moment, I'm thinking of one where I could plonk 20 houses on it quite readily. And if this is what they're doing, they're saying, well, you haven't protected this land in your green spaces, therefore we're going to come along and plonk a load of bloody housing on it. I'm pretty sure that the people in the people that we represent as councillors would like the opportunity to put their 2 penny in. I mean, isn't the local plan something of a public debate anyway?
Local plan is, yes. Yes, the local plan is.
It sounds like they're just sort of coming at this. They've got the local plan. It isn't giving them enough houses. So they're saying, well, we'll give you an opportunity to tell us where you don't want us to put any houses. And that gives us a clear idea of where we can. And then we can calculate how much housing we can put in this area, i.e. Woodley or Early or whatever. Because I can't see any other purpose for it.
David?
Yeah, I mean, I take on board what Martin's saying, but I would suggest that Wokingham would actually say that this is all part of the local plan that has been advertised for comments from the public. And they have had open days for the public to be able to attend, to put their views about any particular area. But if it puts your mind at rest, Martin, I don't think it's going to be so easy for someone to come along and say, right, that land's not listed, we're going to develop it. It would have to go through normal planning procedures. All right, yeah, I know we appreciate your comments on that. But it would have to go through normal procedures. And again, residents would have the opportunity to complain, and we would have the opportunity to complain. But I think it's all been included in the local plan as laid down by Wokingham.
Carol?
Yeah, I take on board and agree with Martin about the public being involved in this. They've had an opportunity, but unless you highlight and point people in the right direction, it's a huge document to look at and make comments on. Most of it doesn't seem to apply. So you could search for Woodley in the consultation documents. You wouldn't see green spaces. You'd have to put a search for green spaces, and why would you? So I think with under item 19 of the agenda, we have got the chance for a publicity stroke website. And I wonder whether we could put the table up on our website and say, these are the ones that the planning meeting agreed to, or whatever we decide. And if anybody's got any comments, to let us know. But it's in the hands of Woking Borough at the end of the day. But if we can protect some areas, we should do.
It's reasonable.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. My feelings about Wokingham Borough Council planning is, well, frankly, I don't trust any of them. They will do what they want with our town. And I'm making a point. Now, this particular list is meant to be delivered to them by Thursday this week. Is that correct, Linda?
Yes.
Yeah, so, there is no point in putting it on a website anywhere. What they've done is a little backdoor way of saying, what do you want to protect? Here's your last chance. What I will be doing, Linda, is I will spend a lot of my time in the morning trying to identify any land that I think should be protected on this list and adding to this list. And the other thing is that the letter that they sent to us asking us to do this asked us to actually mark it up on maps or on maps, which we haven't done at this point. Now, is that how we intend to deliver it to Wokingham Borough?
I think the discussion I've had with Linda is that we haven't got time to actually produce a map, and we're going to have to tell Wokingham Borough that the map will have to follow if they require one. I mean, the other issue, I suppose, we could say it's a provisional list, and is still subject to comment from the public if we decide to put it onto the website.
Yeah. At least now, the fact that we've recorded this meeting, the public can be made aware of how we've discussed it.
Yes. Carol?
Well, can I suggest that we contact the Woodley borough councillors and ask for their help in ensuring that the consultation doesn't close on Thursday, that we still need time to find out a bit more from residents. And I don't think I think they just want it done as soon as possible, so they put that date. I don't think it has any meaning within the consultation timetable. I certainly don't remember anything coming up before, but ask the borough councillors help to make sure that we have got time to do it. We should put it on the website, whatever, including any other ones. It's just whether or not we agree what we've got in front of us as a committee, or whether we, are then added on later, or just that process. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. We had it on the 29th of May, by the way.
Right, okay. I mean, I don't see why we can't treat this as a provisional list. If we decide that we could potentially might add some more to it because of the time scale and the difficulties of where people are working. And maybe we should respond on that basis, along the lines as well that Linda said, we're going to have to, if they want a map, we're going to have to submit the map later, because it's quite a large project to actually try to produce a map and show the green spaces on it.
Yes.
And I think that's, and then go along with the suggestion that we do actually put a copy of our recommendations onto the website and try and encourage all the other councillors and the district and the borough councillors to have a look and to promote it to the public to see if we can get any more feedback.
Is it possible, Linda, for us to ask them to give us some extra time to deliver this?
I mean, I can ask. I don't know what the timetable is like or whether that's likely to be given to us, but I can ask the question. I mean, we could, if you want to agree this list or parts of this list, I could respond and say this is our provisional list, but we would like extra time to look at it and maybe consult with our residents. I mean, I could certainly do that,
Yes.
but at least we would have made a response if they
Yes.
come back and say, there's no more time.
I would feel more comfortable if we were calling it provisional, making it clear that we are requesting more time and we may wish to add more to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be happy with that.
Yeah, I don't see why we shouldn't do that. Is that okay, Linda?
Yeah.
And try to push that through some of the borough councillors as well, to get them to try to help to extend the time period.
Yeah. Can I, because I've got to respond to this, so really I need to get the response done tomorrow so I can submit it sort of early Thursday at the latest.
Right.
There's just a few of the areas. So is the committee as a whole happy to promote all of those areas that are listed?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So there was the one here that's listed as Bullmarsh Fields. Is that what is known as the SULV? Is that Bullmarsh SULV? Or is this Bullmarsh Field something different?
It's beyond that. It's the SULV plus the playing field plus the area between the allotments and Bullmarsh playing fields, as far as I'm concerned.
Is that not all part of the SULV?
Yeah.
No.
Because the SULV is already also being designated as a local green space.
Yes.
That's already been.
Certainly the allotments come into the SULV.
Yeah.
And all the way up there to Addington School.
Yeah.
And then round.
And down to
Bullmarsh
Highwood.
Fields, I understand now as purely as the cricket pitch and the open grass area from Addington School up to Church Road.
And there's a footpath that goes from the edge of the playing field up to I think it's called the Bullmarsh Open Space, isn't it? Which is behind the gymnastics club and Bullmarsh School. So it's, you know, there's quite an area there, but certainly it is beyond the SULV, which stops where the Addington extension is.
Okay, so that is beyond the SULV then?
Yes, I thought so.
It doesn't hurt to clarify it, does it? And if it is part of the
No.
SULV, then we've just got belts and braces, haven't we?
Okay. The land over the river from the Loddon Park estate, I wasn't, Carol, I think you suggested that. I wasn't quite sure where that was.
I think that's probably Charville. It's
Ah.
as you go along Mohawk Way, you turn right into the Loddon Park estate, the new estate there. And then there's two bridges, but there's one that's open at the moment. You cross over, I think it's the old River Loddon, and that takes you into an area that used to be the old gravel pits and tip site.
Okay, so if it's Charville, we're to promote sites within Woodley, really. So
I didn't want to lose sight of it. That was why it was there. If it gets discounted, no problem. But it's used by Woodley residents. It's only Woodley residents can access it. That's the point. You can't get to it from Hurst, which you would do if they hadn't closed off the bridge. And you can't get to it from Charville because they've closed off the bridge.
okay,
So it is a Woodley residents
Okay.
community.
Okay, all right.
okay.
I think
Um,
the boundary may even be the river, the second river, not the old Loddon.
Okay,
Belton.
okay. You happy with that, Linda?
Yeah, sorry, I've got a few other questions. If I could, I won't take long
Right.
to get through them.
Far away.
South Lake Park, is that what is called the South Lake Play Area?
I've renamed that South Lake because the park is very small and it didn't meet all the criteria really. So I think it's the area, there's the Lily Pond, there's the lake itself,
Okay,
the adjoining area. So I thought South Lake was a better.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't
I
noticed
mean,
that had been changed.
I-
Yeah, okay.
I would have taken South Lake Park as the area around the lake, where
Maybe.
you've got all the wildlife, because that is a very big park there for walkers and picnics and what have you.
Maybe we could put in brackets, including Lily Pond and play area, for example.
Okay. Okay. Coronation Fields, is that the Memorial Recreation Ground?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I just want to clarify, so I know
That's fine.
exactly where all this is. Oh, Mortimer's Meadow, that's the Bardell Way runs through Mortimer's Meadow, doesn't it? I think I looked that up.
Bounded by Coleman's Wall Road and the Trees Estate on one side, and then right down to the river on the other side with Bardell Way in between.
Okay. Okay.
It's the
those are my
floodplain.
queries, so. Sorry?
Floodplain, yeah,
Yeah.
part of the floodplain. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, so we're happy with that. So we're happy that that can then be put up, and we can treat that final table with the other entries that were made as an accepted provisional list.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Okay, thank you.
we'll deal with that again when we get to another item on the agenda. You happy? We're happy with that? Okay. Right. Agenda item 13. This was just the application for goods vehicle operators license. And that's just to confirm that we didn't raise any objections. 14 to note, there's been a notification received for an application under the Licensing Act for crumbs. I thought we'd seen that before.
Yes, yes, you did. I noted that. I sought your comments prior to the meeting because I had to make a response. And nobody raised any objections.
Oh, right. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. Item 15 then is the speed limit review. It's really just to note the press release and look at that and see whether we think it's going to have much effect on Woodley as such, and whether we're happy or unhappy of what they may be looking at.
Yeah, Philip, in doing that review, can we take into account the data that John McNault's got on the speed cameras?
Yeah, I was hoping John was going to be here, but because he could have actually produced that or some of the data, couldn't he? But he's not.
Because Mohawk Way is a prime example.
Yes.
Where there is heavy speeding down that road, and I'm not certain that people fully appreciate what the speed limit is down there.
No, and I think even Barder Way and some of those other roads down there leading towards the motorway, the speed limit changes too regularly. I think sometimes people just don't know what the limit is. Yes, I don't see why we shouldn't do that. So can we respond and add that onto the minutes, please, Linda?
2 minutes or so, my system decided to shut down Zoom and restart it.
Oh, okay.
So I've missed.
It's all right, Dave. We didn't miss you.
No, we're only talking about you speeding, David. It's all right. We were on for item 15, where we were just looking at the speed limit review.
You just started that when it went on.
And the comment was raised that we should make sure that the information we've got on the cameras and the speed monitoring that we've set up is actually part and parcel of that speed limit review. Yeah.
Sorry, I'll turn the sound on.
Okay.
Again, it's not something I understand much about, but when somebody says they're going to review the speed limit, let's take Miles Way as an example. There's very few people actually drive up Miles Way at 30 miles an hour. There's very few of them drive much below 40 miles an hour. What is the likelihood of somebody saying, well, we really ought to change this route to a 40-mile limit? Is there any chance of that? Or can we control that? Can we object to it?
We can suggest things. There's no reason we can't suggest things if we think that is sensible.
But my concern is, are they likely to turn around and tell us that, this is a road that, I mean, nobody drives up there. I mean, I'm crossing it constantly. I walk there all the time.
Yeah.
And nobody goes less than 40 along that bloody road.
I suppose the danger is if you put it up to 40, people will be driving at 50.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, I'm just asking. I don't know. When they review these speed limits, is there a chance that they will tell us we're going to change it from 30 to 40?
There's no reason they shouldn't, but history tells us they probably won't.
Right.
So I think when we look a bit further into that, when there's a bit more information about, and perhaps we can draw our own list up based on some of the monitoring that we've already done to suggest some changes that we think should be considered.
Yeah, I'm just concerned it's something that we should be putting our two penneth into, and we're not.
Linda?
If I could just say, this press release is really just notifying that they're going to do a review. We haven't been consulted on this. The town council hasn't actually been consulted. We've just been sent this press release, which we have displayed on our website, and they're asking for the views of residents and businesses. I don't think that means we can't send our comments in, but I don't know whether there might be a formal consultation for the town council later on. So this hasn't come to us as a formal consultation, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, if you want to send comments, that I'm sure that's fine.
Is there anywhere in Woodley that's not got a 30-mile-an-hour limit, apart from Budaway?
Don't
all the others have been changed.
Think so.
Sanford Lane.
Sanford Lane, is that?
national speed limit.
Is it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Oh dear, the bloody death row.
David?
Yeah, I think, quite honestly, we should send a comment, Linda, to Wokingham Borough, and we should highlight the speeding problems that we have become aware of due to the data logger and the speed camera.
Yeah.
And as a result, and the inactivity of the police force, when reviewing the speed limits in the area, it's very important that Wokingham Borough put up appropriate signage to make people aware of what the speed limit is, because that is acutely lacking within Woodley.
I think there are a few areas in Woodley as well where some of the speed limit signs have been grown over and you can't actually see
Yeah,
them. And I think that's
that's
half the
right.
trouble as well. I'm thinking in particular when you come off the 329M and you come down Barlow Way, I think the speed limit signs there are covered over and you can't see the fact there's actually 40 for a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at Barlow Way, there is actually a footpath that goes across the road.
That's right.
And there is a warning sign halfway down that states slow down, people crossing. But that is totally covered in foliage.
That's right. It is. It is. Because the speed limit changes there from 50 to, is it national speed limit or 50? I can't remember now.
I think it's 50, the limit down that
It goes
road.
from 40 to 50 and then comes back again to 30 as you approach the roundabout.
That's right.
as you approach the northern end.
That's right. Yeah.
I didn't think I had a limit on the other.
But it's 40. Yeah, it's 40 as you come off the 329M and then it goes up to, I think it's 50, and then it goes back down again. I don't know why it goes up. You get some mad brains passing everybody else. Yes, Martin?
Would it be possible to sort of go along and in this review and put our two penneth in and say we would like the speed limit reduced to 40 along the Beda Way?
No reason why not.
No, because I think most of us would agree. You know, we probably come off the A329M and put a foot down along that Beda Way, and we bloody well shouldn't, really, shouldn't we? Because there are children that cross the road. And
it's not exactly a straight road either, is it?
No, no.
No, it's a bendy job, and with the potential for people crossing from Coldmansmore way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is dangerous. I have no objection to that unless everybody else does.
No, I think it would be a good idea.
Okay. So perhaps we need to put something together, Linda.
Okay. Sorry, I was just looking on here. There's no actual deadline given.
No.
Or a response date.
Well, maybe we should put something out and get everybody to feedback at the next meeting.
Yeah, I just don't want to miss it, if that's going to be too late, but there's nothing. I'll look into it anyway.
Yeah, have a look and see if there is an expiry date for information and see what we've got to do.
Yeah. Okay. And what I could circulate a suggested response to the committee.
Yes, that sounds reasonable. Yeah, everybody happy with that? Yeah.
They actually say in their document they haven't set a closing date because of COVID-19, and they feel that people's opinions will be changing throughout the period that the lockdown goes.
And yet they finish off, David, by saying results will be published in the autumn. So
presumably
a lot of time.
Just after that, the deadline gets set.
Yeah.
So presumably we could bring it to the next meeting then, if there isn't.
I think so. I think we can do that.
Okay.
We can get everybody to put their head together and come up.
So I could circulate a proposed response, ask if anyone's got comments, and it could be agreed at the next meeting.
Yes, I think so. Carol?
I think it'd be important to distribute that to all members of the council, not just some.
Yeah.
I know it comes up in agendas and minutes and everything else, but I think this is important enough to highlight it and send out something separate.
Okay.
Yes, we need to get hold of John and try and get his
Yeah.
information together as well, don't we?
Yeah, okay.
All right, okay, so move on. Item 16, the annual grants. We've got a letter of thanks from Revitalise. And we've also got an annual review of Revitalise. So their annual review has been received. Are we happy just to note that?
I did
Yeah.
circulate it to everybody when it
Yes.
came in. Yeah.
Okay. Then item 17 is some publications. Swan Lifeline, ME2 Club and Woodley Town Centre newsletter. Some of that I've seen. I'm not sure I've seen all of
I
it.
have circulated them all because we can't pass them around in the meeting. So I've
No.
sent them all to committee members.
Okay. Right. So we got any future agenda items on item 18? No. Okay. So 19 is the website. So this is where we think we should be putting something up fairly urgently with regards to the green spaces.
Okay.
So if we can format the list that we've got and use that as the basis. Yes, Carol?
We had the speeding item on that as well to get some feedback from residents.
It's already on
Oh, okay, sorry.
because it was a press release.
Okay.
I've already put it on the website. Yeah.
Right, so yes, so if we can put that on and ask the members of the public if there's anything else that they would like to add within Woodley. Have to be careful to mention it's within Woodley. Yeah. So I don't know how quickly they can do that. But I think it needs to be actioned in the next few days if that's possible. Is there
Yeah.
plenty of space on the website? We got plenty of capacity, have we?
Yes, it can go on as a news
It goes on as
item,
a
and
news item.
we can keep it at, sort of at the top for this period. Yeah.
Okay. People happy with that?
Yes.
Okay. Enforcement issues. So there are a couple of enforcement issues, which I'm assuming you've seen. Do we need to go through those, or are you happy to take those as being read?
No.
They're okay? Any other business?
No.
No? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for attending the meeting. And can I consider the meeting closed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Well,
Thank
Hi,
you,
Martin.
bye.
if you turned us off, Kevin.